Hi, it's Mike Jokinen here. I'm just going to provide the same presentation that I gave at the ATA AGM on last year's logbook results. So now with 2022-23 under our belt, we have 6 years of marten data. It was our 4th year of quota species data for lynx, fisher, otter, wolverine, and we're starting to see some possible trends there. And we added age classes to lynx and fisher harvest this year, which should help in the long run when we are trying to determine how the populations are doing overall. It was our 2nd year of wolf harvest data collection, and we're starting to see some annual differences there as well. And we added a local knowledge question to the logbook asking trappers at what stage they feel the hair cycle is at in their area. For marten harvest last year, we had 117 logbooks with marten data. That was down a little from 134 last year. On average, 9 marten were caught per RFMA, up a little from last year with 8. And it's taking approximately 106 trap nights per marten harvest. So all these values are in line with past years. Average marten productivity for the province would mean that if you put out 15 traps for a week, you could expect to catch about 1 marten. But that, of course, varies by region and even by trap line. So how is Alberta's marten population doing now that we have 6 years of marten data? The government currently tracks fur production based on export permits and reports that in the annual trapping regulations. And this type of information without a good sense of how trapping effort has changed, because we know that changes significantly from year to year, has led to concerns for species like wolverine in the past. The downward trend in fur production for marten represented by the orange line could be concerning and could be interpreted as a decline in the marten population. However, the logbook data allows us to standardize things based on trapping effort and shows a consistent pattern of marten trapping productivity represented here by the gray bars. And the black lines above and below the tops of the gray bars represent that we don't know where that number is exactly, but it's somewhere within those error bars. But even still, Alberta's marten population appears to be stable to increasing rather than decreasing as the export permits would suggest. Male to female harvest ratio is just another way to gauge how populations are doing, and we typically like to see that at least 60% of the harvest being males. And this isn't a precise number, but it's a good rule of thumb. And this year it was 66% across all logbooks in the province. And we expect this number to change somewhat from year to year, but last year it was also exactly 66%. So nothing of concern here either. When we split that up by natural region, the Rocky Mountains was quite high, and that was due to a lack in sample size. And then the foothills and boreal a little closer to that average, but overall in good shape. We had 111 logbooks with lynx data last year, and on average a trap line is harvesting 3 lynx. It averaged 4 for the past couple of years. And as expected, lynx harvest will vary quite a bit across the province. 23% of trappers set snares and didn't harvest a lynx this past year, but it's good to see what's going on in all areas, not just those hotspots. But the catch per 100 trap nights was 0.56 lynx, or if you reverse that, it was taking an average of 178 trap nights per lynx harvest. It's the highest to date, and I'll get to that in the next slide a little bit. But if you set 26 snares for 1 week, you could expect to harvest 1 lynx. Provincially, lynx productivity, the mean catch per 100 trap nights represented by the blue bars, is showing a general downward trend, which could reflect the natural lynx cycle. And I place the number of trap nights required to harvest 1 lynx, represented by the orange line, because I find that a little easier to grasp. But you can see in 2020 it took approximately 100 nights to trap 1 lynx, where last year it took 180 nights to trap 1 lynx, and that's a big difference. So that's suggesting that there probably are fewer lynx on the landscape. And the great thing about this last year, we included a trapper knowledge question asking at what stage they feel the hair cycle is at. And it does somewhat appear that provincially the hair cycle could be at or near bottom, particularly in the boreal region, represented here by the purples. And hares are potentially already increasing in the southern half or western portion of the province. We have quite a gap in the hare data in that north central region, so it would be great to fill in those voids this next season. But I really think we should continue to ask this hare cycle question in the logbooks to see if we can track the snowshoe hare cycle using trapper local knowledge. It's just another great example where trappers can provide some valuable information. This was the second year of wolf harvest data collection, and 83% of the total logbooks included wolf harvest data this past year, so 132 in total, and 101 of those were program participants, and 31 were non-program participants, with a total harvest of 215 wolves, according to the logbook submissions. With 2 years of wolf harvest data, we can now make some comparisons between years, and in 2022, a large number of the program participants represented by the blue bars felt that wolves were scarce when compared to those outside the caribou management zone represented by the orange. But that started to even out a little bit more this past winter, where more of the trappers outside of the caribou management zone felt that wolves were becoming scarce, and overall the perceptions of the wolf population trend inside of the caribou management zone had gone unchanged between the years, where there were some changes for those trappers outside of the zone, where a few fewer thought they were decreasing and a few more thought the populations were stable. In conclusion, we are currently wrapping up a report that will be made available to the ATA as soon as it's done on what we've learned from the first 5 years of data collection in the logbooks. We do know that we need greater participation in the logbooks. We've had 379 individual RFMAs that have submitted a logbook at some point, so we know there are enough ATA trappers who have participated in the program to get us to that 300 logbook target. We just need to get everyone to submit logbooks on a consistent basis. And getting logbook data from the same trap line each year over a series of years is really valuable. But overall, it's been great information. There's nothing striking or of concern in the harvest data, but now we have some real data to support that and show that the fur bearer population and trends are in pretty good shape in general. And adding that trapper knowledge question, the hare cycle in relation to what's happening with lynx harvest is really cool stuff. And I just wanted to show you some of the results from our 3D modeling of marten heads that were finally completed this year. We have a collection of 10 male and 10 female heads that a few trappers had provided years ago, and hopefully the ATA will be able to use this for their online component of the Trapper Education course for up-and-coming trappers, to show them how to identify age class in their marten catch. A person can go into this website and move the 3D images around, and each will have a description explaining why the head is a juvenile female versus an adult female, and so on, based on the muscle coalescence on the head. But having the opportunity to have this realistic visual with a description rather than a drawing, I think is a lot more effective. And thank you. I hope you really enjoyed this upcoming season, and please send in your logbooks.